Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 12th Annual Naples International Film Festival and this special TalkBack Q&A. I'm Shannon Franklin, festival producer. We want to thank our TalkBack Q&A sponsors, Saran and Stan Kraushar. Today, we'll be discussing some of the short films that make up our shorts program, Defining Moments. And one of those films is the beautifully animated short film, If Anything Happens, I Love You. And we are very, very excited today to have from the film the co-writer and directors, Will McCormick and Michael Govier. Hi, how you guys doing?
Hi, how you doing?
Great to be here with you. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, it's so wonderful to have both of you here and have your incredible film as part of our festival. Thanks so much for making the time.
Of course.
So this Q&A is happening after our audience has had a chance to see the film, so we can talk about it freely. And, you know, I have to say, as I took a few moments before we were going to chat, just really reflecting and thinking about the film happening right now, I immediately get emotional. I mean, the film is so beautifully done. It is so emotional and powerful and thoughtful. And it's just such a beautiful film. As soon as we saw it, we knew immediately it would be such a phenomenal film to have part of our program and to share with our audience. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, thank you for such touching words. I mean, we've been on this journey for, 3 years or now, and it just means so much that the film is getting out there and people are seeing it, and was our main goal.
Yeah, and when people connect to it, it's, obviously really rewarding. So thank you so much. I mean, that was our goal, to connect to audiences, and when people respond, it means more than anything. So thank you so much.
It's completely genuine. So let's start at the beginning. What was the inspiration for the film for the two of you to come together? How did this come about?
Michael, you
okay, I'll go.
The kernel of this idea came from Michael's brain and heart.
The beginning kernel was just kind of, Will and I are good friends. We're both writers, and we wanted to work together, and we were pitching a lot of ideas, and it came with an idea of doing a show that shows emotions through shadows and shows this inner feeling of life that we all have, and this maybe a disconnect from what's going inside and what's outside. And so that was the initial catalyst. And then from there, Will and I had been having, we have very deep conversations about grief and kind of life, and very, I mean, I'm laughing slightly at it, but it's just because we have big, heavy conversations. We also have fun conversations, but we all have, and from these conversations, we realized this is the story we needed to tell because of what we were seeing in the world, and showing the grief of everyone, and kind of saying we acknowledge their grief for the people who are still here and the people who are kind of, been left behind,
And so, did you want to add to that at all, Will?
Sorry, my cat just made an appearance in frame, and she was the inspiration for the cat.
my cats are locked out, so we're all cats. Welcome. No, welcome. This is great.
I thought that mine was too, but she snuck in. Yeah, it really just, Michael had this beautiful idea of these shadows being these sort of reservoirs of feelings that we can't quite connect to when we're experiencing grief. And the journey really happened organically, where, these school shootings kept happening, and it was sort of like a combination of this ideas with the shadows, with this, idea of a school shooting. And it was really just an organic combination of story elements. And it really was organic and natural in every way. The storytelling, Michael's such a brilliant storyteller and such a great partner. And it was really, this movie had just sort of like a little bit of magic to it, because everyone that came on board throughout the entire process just felt connected to the story. And, movie making can be hard, but I felt like everyone in this film was there for the right reason. And I hope that that's reflected in the film.
Absolutely. And I should have said this at the top. I meant to, for our audience to understand. May I say, the two of you have such impressive careers in the industry. It seems like you pretty much can and do it all, from writing, directing, acting, producing. I know there's improv and there's playwriting. I mean, I know it comes up with animation. How do I not speak to Will, that you're one of the co-writers of Toy Story 4, and you have your own experience, Michael, with animation. So you guys come to the table with such talents, and to see them come together in this way, I think it really reflects I think probably all the things that you've done to this point, and the ability to bring on some of these incredible people. Can you speak a little bit about whatever process here in terms of some of the producing partners you had? Certainly I would want to start talking about the animation and the animators that you brought on as well.
The producers, because of the subject and because of Will is a master craftsman at screenwriting, like period. Like working with him has basically felt like I feel like I've got my MFA with a PhD in screenwriting and storytelling, because he is just a master of the craft. And because of that and our partnership in the script we created, in the story we're telling, everyone just kept coming on board. It was almost surprising. Like, we would ask people, we'd send a script out, try to pitch it, and they'd go, and everyone just would go, yes, I want to be part of that. And we were just like, oh, you do? And then it just, our joke is like, oh, great, jump on board. Come on, let's join the band. Let's all, because we all have a common goal. And the goal is kind of this, to raise awareness, and also so people feel seen in their grief. And so everyone there's a very universal quality to it. So many people kept coming on board. But I think Will can speak to like how we got Laura, how we got some of these
Laura
other
Dern,
people.
yeah.
Laura Dern, yeah, Laura, but Laura Dern to the world.
Laura to you, yep.
LD, as we like to call her.
Yeah.
I like to do that, yeah.
Yeah, LD. So we worked on the script the script's 12 pages.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We worked on it for a year. So, because also we knew that we were making the film for very little money, so we didn't have a lot of time or money to animate. So what we were animating, we want to be sure that we needed. So the script was really this great sales tool to bring people on board. And we found the most wonderful producer ever, who I can't ever imagine working in animation without, again, is Marianne Garger, who produced the Lego Ninjago movie. Gary Gilbert came on board, who produced La La Land. And then really the home run for style happened when we met our animation director, Young Ran No, who completely understood the pathos of the film and the style. And she was a recent graduate from Cal Arts, and she was our animation director, and it was the first time she held that position. So Laura Dern and Jamie Lemons came on. They're friends of mine from town, and they've just been super involved in Everytown with Everytown for gun safety. And they saw the film and they flipped for it at an early stage. And I said, would you guys want to come on board? And they leapt on board, and they've been, really, really just ardent supporters of us and the film. And we've had, to make a movie like this, it's hard because there's a lot of moving pieces, but we've had a lot of support from really talented people, which you need.
Oh, and it shows, the animation style. I mean, obviously early on, I would assume then in the idea of putting this film together, you decided animation is the way to go. And all the different types of animation this film could have presented. This style it is so beautiful, and the color palette, the choice, like you said, the shadows, the use of the shadows in the film. Can you talk a little bit about, the decision to get to this style of animation to tell this story?
Absolutely. We started early on because I think right now what everyone looks at as animation is kind of that Pixar style, which is very cool and super amazing. I'm a fan. Obviously Will's a fan. And so but we realized that style fits that tone of the thing. So we stripped back, and our first question is like, what does this world look like for this particular piece? And that's where we started. And we wanted to kind of look and feel like grief. We wanted to have a minimalist quality. We had, we knew it was going to be in 2 dimensions, so we wanted to do it in that way. And our kind of North Star was kind of anything that doesn't need to be in frame, it needs to go away. So we stripped back everything every time more stuff would get in. And so it's like, if you see the bedroom shot, you'll see the shot pan around, and you'll see like a chair, the bed, the lamp, but then when we come back to it, you just see the bed, and everything else fell off, because now it's just about the parents sitting there right in the bed. And so that was kind of our style, to slowly peel back things. And it was a constant, and then Youngren, working with her, and there's the 3 of us really honed in on what this look and tone is. And we want it to be special to this piece. It's like, I'm sure later we will create something that looks much more like a Pixar style, but in this particular moment, this animation needed to look this way for this piece.
Yeah, it had to be super lean and parsimonious and feel sort of barren, like grief can feel. And we were pretty vigilant about that. I mean, you know, from earlier incarnations, from storyboards, we had some sort of busier frames, and we kept stripping it and stripping it. And Michael had this great idea for a color build, that it would be sort of more monochromatic and black and white. And then when the daughter comes in, you would sort of build color out to the last frame, where actually that last frame with the sun is pretty full. And it feels like, you know, in a movie that can be hard, it does feel like there's sort of an upshot of there's a swing of hope at the end with that color.
I'm literally getting emotional just thinking about visualizing. I mean, it is so effective. It is so, I mean, like I said, every frame is so thoughtful. It's so clear. These things take time anyway, independent film regardless, but this, how long from the time you know, started this to having, we'll call it a finished product, but how long was this process? You did 3 years earlier. I don't know if that's the scope.
I think that's about the total from like our first writing. We wrote for a year, then we went into kind of like storyboarding for a bit, and then we animated for a little under a year. So roughly 3 years total, I think, from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, incredible. And so the choice of whether to have this be a film where there's people talking and dialogue versus no dialogue, and then with that, the choices that you made here, and the importance of the music, which is such a key element, if we can speak to that as well, because it is profound. The choices that you guys made are phenomenal.
Thank you. So we were so blessed to work with Lindsay Marcus. She wrote the score for most of the film, except for the piece that's on the record player. Was obviously a King Princess song. And then the song that plays when the shadows kind of turn into fireflies, that was the Inner City Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles. So like those are the 3 different groups that did it. But we were so lucky because we knew music has to carry this, because we know there's no dialogue, and it's the music's going to shape the mood, and you have to find that perfect balance where it's not overbearing, where you don't want to be told how to feel, you just want to experience.
Yeah, in terms of no dialogue, I mean, I think one of the ironies of being a screenwriter is often, you know, how few words can we tell this story or scene in? And it turns out the further we got into the story and the further we felt sort of entrenched in the emotion of it, we kept stripping and stripping, and we felt like we just didn't need any dialogue. So, and the music, because the music is so powerful, it really is the voice of the film. So it was so fun to try it without any dialogue, and it kept working and it kept working. And I think it really works without any.
It does. And
yeah.
And I think one of those things, I'm sure for when you get through this process and you have a finished piece and you realize this is how it was always meant to be, but I can only imagine all that it took to make those decisions. And the hardest thing, right, is to keep editing yourself, whether it's the script or the visuals or the music. I imagine that's tough. How do you guys play off of each other in terms of working as co-writer directors on the project, that synergy?
We have a great balance with each other. Like we kind of complement each other in different ways. And then as far as like the writing, it's like we would just get in the room together and just, you know, write for a couple hours, you know, hand the laptop back and forth physically. And this was obviously in a different world where we were in the same rooms all the time, you know. So as we were building like that, then we'd, you know, meet up with the animation directors, and Will and I would go back and forth and figure out what we need, and then, you know, create the notes accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of confidence as a screenwriter because I've been doing it now for a long time. So, but I really, you know, Michael and Marianne really gave me the courage and confidence to be a director. And like, I'm so grateful for that, because honestly, I mean, I'm showing my cards here. I didn't have a lot of confidence in that arena because I had never really done it. I mean, I directed little things here and there, but, you know, Marianne's worked in animation for 30 years. So to be with a veteran like that, who you can go to and ask questions, and Michael is a great writer, obviously, but is so talented and creative visually. And so he really upped my game there. And it was just a great match. We're going to do it again.
Yeah, we're going to do it again.
That's a great segue, because I was going to say, you know, you have to, please. But like, so in terms of, you know, we said the film has been making the rounds and, you know, going to festivals and certainly sharing with audiences like ours. So what's next with the film, and then what's next with both of you creatively?
Well, the exciting thing with the film is we just got acquired by Netflix. Yeah, and yesterday.
Oh my God. I timed that. I totally timed
yeah,
that.
you did a great job.
Yeah, you're welcome, Naples audience. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so here's an exclusive. Yeah, so that's really exciting for us. So it sounds like it'll be out, later in the year on their platform, and they're, then we're gonna go for. They're gonna submit us for the Academy Awards.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was really exciting news yesterday. So
Congratulations.
Yeah, we're celebrating that, and we've got a bunch of stuff going on. We've got some features in development, but we're all excited to just build another movie together with this same team. So we're going to be getting back to work tomorrow.
Excellent. Well, I mean, again, congratulations on this latest news. That's fantastic. And we're very excited to see what's next. And please continue to stay in touch and keep us posted. And like we said, looking for a great reason to get you guys down here in the future on hopefully your next project. But meanwhile, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your beautiful film with us and our audience. And it's good to see you. And, please take care of yourselves and just, best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Thank you
so much for appreciating our film. It really, truly means everything to us.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you both. Thank you, Will and Michael. And again, thank you so much to our audience for their ongoing support of Artists Naples and the Naples International Film Festival. Thanks so much. Today, we will be speaking to some of the filmmakers that make up our shorts program called Defining Moments. And one of those films is Oli, BENNI, and the Rest of the Universe. We are so excited to have from that film the writer and director, Anna Ludwig. Hello, Anna, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So where are you zooming in from?
I'm zooming in from the southern part of Germany, a small town near Munich called Puchheim, but nobody will know it. But maybe you know Munich.
Yes.
Bavaria.
Yes, well, we're so excited to have you here and have your beautiful film as part of our festival.
Thank you.
And can you say, how do you pronounce the title of your film?
It's Ole, BENNI und der Rest des Universums.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I like that. Well, so you wrote the screenplay.
Yeah.
And so what was the inspiration for the story?
The idea came up while I was hiking with friends, but I can't exactly tell where it came from. I think there are several reasons. When I was a teenager, I went to a language trip and I lived with a French family, and they had a boy which had the Down syndrome. And I always remembered him very cordial, very lively, but I know that it wasn't always easy for him and his family. And another reason is that I worked as a high school teacher several years ago for 2 years. And I had to realize that in nearly every class, there's at least one child that's being bullied for being somehow different. So these experiences influenced me, and I think they finally led to this film.
It is such a beautiful film and a beautiful story and friendship, and so important to find the right young actors to be part of the project. How did you tell us about the casting of this film and how you found these incredible young actors?
I have a friend that is teacher in an inclusive school. Okay, can I repeat it?
Oh, please keep talking.
I have a friend that is a teacher in an inclusive school, and I asked her if she knew any boy who has Down syndrome and is a good actor, and she immediately recommended Frederick, and I got to know him, and we liked each other from the first glance. And so it was obvious that we had to do this film together. And the second main actor, Leopold, was a recommendation too, also from a friend, and he has quite a lot of experience. We know him from commercials and TV movies, so yeah.
It's so important. So important to find the right actors for any film, but this is such a beautiful story of friendship and so beautifully done. can you tell us a little bit about making the film? How long were you shooting? A little bit about the production of making it?
Yeah. We were shooting 12 days, which I think wasn't too much time. It would have been great to have 2 more days at least, but we couldn't afford that. Yeah, finally we managed in 12 days, but it was quite stressful sometimes.
That's it.
Although the kids were great, but it was just, yeah, we were just short in time.
Yeah, I mean, independent film, rarely do you have enough time.
Yeah.
And were there any unique challenges working with young actors? Were there certain rules, or just in terms of just working with them on set? They seemed great, but what was it like?
They were great. They not only just seemed so, they all had so many ideas and they were very committed. So it was just great to work with them. But of course, there are restrictions in Germany. They only have to stay on the set for 5 hours on the whole, and for shooting only 3 hours. So a day.
Wow.
It's really not much time.
So your 12 days was even shorter.
Yeah.
Having them.
Exactly. Genau. Yeah.
So you're, as we said, the writer and obviously the director as well. Do you like for the actors to stick close to your script? Do you like for them to improvise? What's your process like?
They have free to improvise. We meet before the shooting, and we talk about it. We read the script, and I ask them, how would you say it? Is it okay for you? Does it feel right? Maybe we change it. Often we change it a little bit. And when there are new ideas why we are shooting, it's okay for me as long as it works. You don't have to forget the main idea. So yeah, if you keep it in mind where it has to go, for me it's okay if they improvise.
That's great. Yes, I think there's a natural style that happens sometimes. Yes, and you can see
exactly.
You can see that in the film how nicely it flows together. Were there any funny stories or interesting things that happened while shooting?
Yeah, actually it was quite funny when the spaceship burned down, because actually we didn't intend to destroy it completely. It just should just burn a little bit, but it all went so quickly, only a few seconds, and the whole ship was on fire.
Oh my!
Yeah, it was really, and we had security there, and we could stop the fire in the end. So it wasn't insecure, and we were quite happy that we had such spectacular pictures in the end.
That's one of those wonderful behind the scenes stories to hear. That sounds like it could be scary. Obviously it was controlled, but it ended up being a really beautiful shot.
Yeah, exactly.
The spaceship, that is such a special part of the visuals, and it must have been hard though to also see it, go away.
Yeah, the children wanted to play with it.
Oh.
They didn't want to stop playing, but they had to, and we told them after the scene you can play again. There's just a little bit broken, maybe, and then it was gone.
It was gone. Did that happen near the end of the shoot? Like, was it in order when you?
Yeah, last day. Mm-hmm.
Which is good, since it was gone after that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, can you tell us about, like, with the film now, what's happening with it? You're doing festivals, and also what else is going on? What's next for you with your projects? Please share.
I just started a new script. Yeah, it's just the beginning right now. But I'd love to do a 90-minute next. And of course for kids again.
Yes? Oh, I think that's wonderful. So it's the beginning of a feature-length film that has kids in it. Oh, that's exciting. Well, you'll have to let us know when
Yes,
that
of course.
project happens. Yes, that's so exciting. Well, we just want to thank you so much for being here and being part of
Thank
the
you.
festival. And it's such a beautiful film, and we know that our audience is gonna love it so much. And so thank you so much for making time and being here at what is it, 9 o'clock? I think, yeah. Thank you. Today we're discussing some of the films that are part of our shorts program called Defining Moments. And one of the great films in that program is a documentary short called EDDY'S WORLD. Today we are very excited to be speaking with the producer and director, Lynn Goldfarb. Hi, Lynn, how are you?
Hi, good, thank you. Doing fine.
Excellent, thanks so much for being here. Where are you zooming in from?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Excellent,
Where
fantastic.
I think the weather's nice, like in Florida.
Yes, so we're very lucky, both of us, beautiful weather.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, we are just so delighted to have your beautiful short as part of our program this year. And, when we saw it, immediately, we loved it. It's so charming and inspirational and thoughtful and interesting. And, I always start these sessions saying, how do you find your subject? And, how did inspiration hit? And you are an Oscar-nominated, award-winning independent filmmaker. You've done so many incredible documentaries. Eddie's your dad, yes? So when did you decide that you wanted to share his story?
It's really interesting. It was about 3 years ago. And I had just finished a big campaign after my last large documentary. And I was looking around, trying to think of what else would I want to do. And it just dawned on me, it's like, of course, well, actually in the beginning, I said, I'm just going to take some time and I'm going to do a family legacy project with my father because he was getting older. He was 96 at the time when we started. And I didn't really think of it as being a film. I just thought I was going to take a little pause. And but we set it up with, the best equipment, and we had everything. I just wanted to do it right. And the moment he opened his mouth on camera, and we said, this is a film. And so from that point on, I realized that he is such a great subject for a documentary, both in terms of what he's done as a toy inventor, his whole story, but also how he lives his life today. Well,
we're grateful that you decided to share what totally could have been just a personal family, piece. I mean, incredible his story, how active he is now. I mean, I think, what was it like for you? Because now I get to speak to you from both, the person who has got the filmmaker hat on, but also the daughter of, what was it like growing up in that environment? I mean, just, it seemed like never a dull moment.
Well, I mean, what's interesting is that my father, being a toy inventor, I mean, it was his job. So while we played with prototypes of toys at home, he really went off to work every day. He had his own business. He was independent, but he had people that he hired. So to a certain extent, it wasn't like he was fiddling around the house all day, making toys. But we did have a chance to try out a lot of toys too, play with what he's called the most expensive toys in the world, because they were the models. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I imagine so. And so for you, you said this started like about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like in terms of the process of, once you decided this is a film?
Yeah.
How do you capture that? What do you include? Where does the line of your own family, where you're getting very personal and sharing? What was that like? How did you find your way through getting this project?
Well, we started with interviews. And so I did about 8 hours of filmed interviews with him first, because I was kind of weighing the combination of getting his story and making a film. And then when I felt like we had enough, and although, you know, I haven't finished interviewing him, I just stopped so we could start telling the other, you know, start to make the film. Then it was interesting because, you know, I'm not around my father when he's working. And, you know, we see everything that he's working on that's in his house, but, you know, so we had this, you know, I would say, okay, Dad, we'd like to film you in your, you know, garage machine shop. And we did it one day and it worked really well, you know, and we, you know, we filmed for a couple of hours, and then I wanted to come back, you know, and do more. And it would be like, I'm too busy. I'm working on something, you know, and this is like 96, 97, you know, that he's like, and I'm on a deadline, and I'm going, Dad, but I really need to, you know, film you doing this work. And so finally we were able to make an agreement that we would come in and we wouldn't say a word to him. And I would just follow him around, and, you know, that worked for a while. And I think it really enabled us actually to get some of the beautiful footage we have in the film, because he was just focused on what he was doing, and I had a great camera person, and they were really able to capture that.
Oh yeah, I mean, visually, it's so engaging, and I can imagine how interesting, again, for you to wear both hats in this situation, you know, and be able to kind of sneak in and watch him at work. Like you said, it's a job. And so were there any surprises along the way as you're, you know, delving deeper into asking your father questions about his life and his inventions, like anything you discovered, you know, that you were surprised by?
Well, I think that I mean, certainly him telling stories, you know, for the camera was very different than hearing stories at home, you know, so that was great. I actually learned a lot more about, you know, his early family life, and, you know, my mother, his relationship with my mother, and certain stories where we heard pieces of it when we were growing up. We got to hear a lot more. But one of the things that was really special to me was kind of witnessing more of his life today. And so I just said, I want, you know, just to follow you on what you're doing, you know, like during your day. And of course, as any filmmaker knows, the person you're filming has no idea what you're doing until it's done. And so you get to be a little annoying, and you're asking for things like, why do you need to go film my movie group, or, you know, my writing group? But to actually be able to sit and witness him with his friends without, you know, family really being around, and, you know, just kind of loving to see his relationships and his sense of humor, which, you know, is just really blossoms everywhere, you know, he is. So that was really nice.
You know, so obviously I should have said this at the beginning. How is your father doing? How is he doing? You know, what's going on with him now?
Yeah. Well, my dad is 99, which we weren't allowed to celebrate his birthday. And or announce it, but it's announced. And he's doing really well. You know, he lives in a very nice retirement community, and probably similar to retirement communities in Florida. You know, he lives outside of Los Angeles, not in the city. And there's a lot of open space. So he's able to, you know, be in, you know, we're all in quarantine, you know, in California, you know, so there's no, you know, I haven't seen my father since March, you know, in person. So, but he has space, so he can, you know, he walks, he has friends there. He has his girlfriend, Greta, and my mother died a few years ago. And So he actually being out in the fresh air, walking every day, you know, he's really able to exist fine, you know, and he works, you know, every day I mean, as you'll see in the film, like every day he works at his machine shop, he works on his 3D printer, he writes stories. So he has this kind of, you know, not a strict agenda, but the things that he does every day, which actually keeps his mind healthy, keeps up his energy, and keeps him always, you know, thinking of new ideas.
I truly, so much to be learned from your father. I mean, what an inspiration. Let me ask you, what's next for you with your projects and this film? Like, tell us a little more about what's next for you.
Well, I mean, for me right now, I'm working on the distribution, you know, of the film. I feel like it has a real opportunity to speak to, you know, several different audiences. And so I'm, you know, working on trying to get some kind of distribution and educational initiative started with it. And I'm also working to get a broadcast or streaming. And so those are, those pretty much occupy, you know, a lot of my time right now. And then the other thing that I'm doing actually is my father writes 100-word stories, and we're trying to put them together now in a book of 100-word stories. So I've been helping him. We're organizing and getting that ready for publication.
So fantastic. Okay, last question.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite toy of your father's that or one that's like near and dear to you, and all the incredible things that he's invented?
I mean, you know, I guess I have everyone's favorite, which are the teeth. You know, the chattering teeth. It's a toy that went viral before things went viral. And, you know, it doesn't matter who I mention it to, how old they are, where they live in the world, everybody knows the chattering teeth. So
yeah, I get that. That totally makes sense. Well, truly, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to learn so much about your father and who he is and what an inspiration, and sharing that part of your life with us, because I think how perfectly timed this film comes to us. And I think it's just going to bring so much joy to the world, and truly just an inspiration. That's the word over and over that comes to my mind. So thank you so much for being here, for sharing your film, for being part of the Naples International Film Festival. And we so look forward to seeing what's next with your dad and with you. And, you know, please keep in touch and let us know what's going on in the future.
Great, thank you. And really thank you for this opportunity. The festival looks wonderful, and I'm really excited that we're part of it.
Well, thank you so much. We are so proud to have your film as part of it as well. And I do want to thank, as always, our audience for all of their ongoing support of Artists Naples and the Naples International Film Festival. Thanks so much. See you next time.